Hello again, my dudes. Welcome back to the channel. This is Kadima bringing you another Elden Ring DLC build video, and I'm very excited to show you this one. What a monster I just created. This build absolutely destroys in PvP, but in PvE, it's just as powerful. So, for this build, we are going to use the Great Katana, but not just some Great Katana. We are going to infuse it with Occult. And we are going to give it the Stormcaller Ash of War. As you can see by the description, the Stormcaller is one of the skills that channels the Tempest of Stormveil, spin armament to create surrounding storm winds, and repeated inputs allow for up to 2 follow-up attacks. Now, you could be tempted to think, why going Occult? Well, the answer is simple. When you infuse this bad boy with Occult, the scaling with Arcane is going to change to B, and it will retain the loss buildup, and it will actually increase the amount of blood loss buildup up to 108 when you have 80 Arcane. Now, the attribute scaling of the weapon changes to E strength, D dexterity, and as I just said, B Arcane. The requirements for this katana are 14 strength and 18 dexterity. But we are going to just sprinkle a little bit more in there for the extra damage. What we do want is 80 in Arcane and the necessary attributes to use the weapon. But on top of this, we are going to boost our damage significantly by using the Divine Beast Helm, which, if you read the description, increases the power of storms. It also gives you a couple of points in strength and dexterity, so that bonus is also very welcome. Now, for the armor pieces, we are using the rest of the Solitude armor set. Armor of Solitude, Gauntlets of Solitude, and Greaves of Solitude. But for the talismans, we are going to be using the Arranged Divine Beast, which also raises the potency of storms, and we want that increase because we're using the Stormcaller on the katana. We are using the Great Jar's Arsenal because we are going to need that extra equip load, so we can be very poisy and very tanky, and you are going to see why when you see the showcase of the examples for PvP especially. But we also want the two-handed sword talisman, which enhances the attacks with two-handed weapons. This is the only weapon we have. We are going to two-hand it at all times. Perfect damage bonus, and the Shard of Alexander, which greatly boosts the attack power of skills. For the extra bonus damage, Exalted Flash is a must-have. If you are playing PvE or Invasions, Stone Barb Cracked Tear and Thorny Cracked Tear is what you want in your flask. Now, how do you use this build? This is absolutely easy. So the idea is to either do a running attack, or an R1, or an R2, whatever you fancy. It doesn't matter what it is you want to use as a bait. The idea is to bait your enemy. So as soon as you use some form of bait, you can also use the FT pots. I particularly like to use these. You can also use a FT pot as well. The idea is that you bait them to roll close to you, or in front of you, or around you. As long as they roll in your direction, you're good to go. That's what the bait is for. Once you get the bait, you just have to bring out that storm. And I tell you one thing. This one-shots most people in the arena, because this skill actually stun locks people into it. You get at least 3 hits out of this combo, and on the 3rd hit you normally get the bleed to proc, and that's when the enemy dies. So if you manage to, on top of trapping them with the bait, if you manage to actually hit them with that R1, for example, it's a guarantee kill straight away. This build is absolutely devastating, and the fact that you can poise through your enemy attacks. For example, if you have someone coming with a Great Katana doing a running R1 towards you, don't be afraid to use the Stormcaller, because you will be able to tank through their hit and dispatch them straight away. And this is pretty much it. It's the idea of the build. It's very simple, it's very strong, and you are going to see this in the examples that follow. Of course, I'm going to go with PvE and PvP. although the build is very strong for both scenarios, it's in PvP that it shines absolutely the greatest. You have to see it for yourself, guys. In any case, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. For my regular viewers, thank you for the continuous support. But enough talk, let's just have a quick look at the stats. I'm level 151, Vigor at 55, 10 Mind, 35 Endurance. My Strength is actually at 14, but the Helm gives me an extra 3 points. Dexterity is actually at 18, but the Helm gives me another 3 points, so it goes to 21. Arcane at 80. One thing you might feel tempted to do is you might feel tempted to change the Great Jars and use the Blood Lord of Exaltation, for example, which you can, but you will go into heavy load. What you could do is take out some points from Strength and Dexterity, which will free 6 points that you can dish into Endurance, and you can then try to make the swap while being able to medium roll and have the extra damage from the Lord of Exaltation. I didn't find this to be necessary. If anything, it was just overkill, because in the arena everybody just dies by the 3rd or 4th hit, so this wouldn't really make any difference. By the time the bleed procs, the enemy dies, so you don't really need the extra damage after that. So I found that to be overkilled, and with my testy that was necessary. But in any case, let's go and check those bosses and those arena duos. Starting with the usual suspect, the Black Knight, we're going to go with some Exalted Flesh, get that flask ready. And here we go. You are going to see why I said that the Lord of Exaltation, it's overkill. Look at the damage we are already doing without the talisman. There's no need. It will just go overkill. There's no need. Now, I skipped that little bit of the battle with the Blood Fiend where I actually have to find some room because the Mimic is not doing its job. So here we go, straight to the point. Mimic is there, and we're just gonna dish out some damage. Although the Mimic has did most of the job, once I come in, the Storm just finishes him off completely. It's just way too strong. But now for the PvP examples where this thing absolutely destroys people. The moment you get to stun lock them with the Ash of War, no one really survives. You have the odd person that manages to dodge out of it, but they will still be killed by the follow-up if you manage to be close enough. Here we go. Now this guy's got a lot of hyper armor. This is not going to keep him safe. You can see that I managed to get him with the R1, and then I just finish him off with the Ash of War. It's just crazy. And this was one of the longest fights I had using this build. You are going to see a common theme when watch these examples with the PvP, is that most of my fights lasted about 10 to 15 seconds. Pretty much. The longest ones had about 30 seconds. But most people just get destroyed straight away. And as you can see, I was actually playing quite poorly against this guy. I managed to miss nearly all my dodges. But once I connected that running R1, that was it. It was game over. I barely survived, but I still won. Now this guy, I had to share this one, because this guy is actually going to kill himself by jumping to my AoE. It's actually a funny kill, this one. So here I am messing around. This was still during the preliminary testing of the build, so I was still getting used. I was still trying to find what works, what kind of bait is best to use. So this was in the very beginning, this fight and the previous one. But look what's he gonna do? He's going to jump into my AoE. GG. Now, at this stage, I started to find my footing with the katana, starting to understand what worked and what was the best way to get the Ash of War to proc and to connect. So I started learning by this stage what was the best way to go about it. So you still see me doing a lot of running R1s, trying to then combo it, but then I found out that the normal just running and then spamming it was the best way to go, as you just saw. GG. Next one, this guy, it didn't even last that long, bless him. As you go, see, just get that rot to go. Then I actually managed to get him with the running R1, and then that's the bait. Did you see? That R1 was the bait to the Ash of War. I really didn't care if I hit him. It was just to make him stay close enough for me to catch him with the Ash of War. And you will see that I do that quite frequently from going on with the fights. For example, that running attack was supposed to be the bait, but he was too far. So I decided, oh really? Okay, if you're gonna stay close, I'll take the chance. And I did, and it worked out just great. Now, this guy is using the new scythe, and I thought, okay, I know what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to dodge and then counter me. So here I am. I failed that one, but then he's going to come here. He dodged. Perfect. There you go. There's the Ash of War for the win. GG. So you see, that's the kind of bait I'm talking about. In this instant, I actually end up fighting the same guy straight away, and I decided to bait him with the pot. It didn't work, so I just stay close. R1 is the bait. Still didn't work. Running R1 is the bait. R1 is the bait. R1 is the bait. Now there we go. And there it is. Ash of War for the win. All those R1s are just working as bait because I want them to attack me so I can stun lock them with the Ash of War. Now this guy using the shield. There we go. We're going to use that for bait. Didn't even proc the rot. The second one definitely will. It did. Running R1 for the bait. Ash of War. There you go. GG. No chance. Next one. Pretty much same strategy. Doesn't really change much. Maybe I don't catch them with the first attempt. Maybe I have to bait a few more times. But I will eventually get people. And I want you to focus, if you're trying this build yourselves, to try to see what works for you. So I'm going to bait him with the R1. Here we go, R1, and then I realize he's not going to move. Perfect. Ash of War for the win. Now this was the quickest fight of them all. This guy was about 10 seconds in combat. There we go. I'm just gonna go with the pot for the bait. He jumps to me. Ash of War for the win straight away. 1900 damage. GG. Again, a very quick one, as you are about to see, and this guy is actually using the Fire Knight Great Sword. No, he's actually using a katana, just same as me. So, there we go. Get him close. That was the bait, and there you go. Works every time. GG. Now, same idea, same principle. Of course, we allow our opponents to buff. I don't have a problem with that. I realized he's going to try some jumping attacks. I thought this would be a nice bait. It didn't work, but then this one did. GG. This build is absolutely destructive. The fact that you can stun lock people with the Ash of War and actually get the kill straight away, it's insane. I strongly recommend this, guys, especially if you're going for PvP. Look at this guy. He's using the Fire Knight Great Sword. This is the guy I thought I was fighting before. Running R1, and then there's the bait for the finishing with the Ash of War. Now, this guy, I actually fought him 3 times in a row. I think I've got 2 examples here. Look, this is the bait. This is the Ash of War for the win. So easy. He had no armor anyway. GG. Now here we go again. He actually attacks me straight away, so I defended myself with a simple R1. And then here we go. There's the bait. Didn't work. Okay, R1. Okay, R1. That was the bait. There he is. Stun locked. GG. Here we go again. Get that Exalted Flash. Just signal that I'm ready. Here we go. That pot just to stop him from casting crazy spells. He's actually gonna come to me. Perfect. Running R1. That was the bait. Ooh, perfect. He actually did the Moonveil Ash of War right on top of me. So basically he did kill himself in that duel. Now here we go. Another fight. I know this guy. I kind of know his style. So I knew this would work as a bait. There we are. He actually manages to do a nice amount of damage. But no problem. I can hyper armor through those hits and get the win. Now this guy, he starts with casting his incantation straight away. I was going to try to just get him rot. I missed that one, but this one doesn't miss. I played basketball since I was 5. There's the running R1. I waste no time. I combo it straight away with the Ash of War for the win, and I managed to roll catch him with it. But this is it, guys. This is going to be the last fight. This is one of the guys that actually lasted the longest. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Tell me if you're planning to try this build yourselves. Subscribe if you haven't just yet. It does help the channel. If you are one of my usual viewers, continued support is much appreciated. And of course, I hope I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care. Cheerio.